Well, today I'm gonna look into the ARRL station here, W1AW, and check out the little station here that sends out all the Morse code and bulletins and that kind of thing. Here's some of their antenna farm here. It's amazing. Then over in this building, in the headquarters building, is kind of a museum and another station there. So let's go check it out. Okay, here we go. Let's see if my camera's working right here. Oh yeah, okay. Look at this little, got it on tracking mode here. So it tracks my face. I'm liking this little camera. Okay, here's the gift store and bookstore. Lots of books in here. Over here they got a neat Heathkit collection. Neat shirt. Yeah. There's some classic old ones there. Single bander. The H8 little QRP rig. CW only. Yeah, that's the DX100. And the 303, 401, 100. I have one of those. Yeah, pan adapter. Yeah, I remember these old Apaches. These are pretty cool. On the bottom there. And there's a classic station setup. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
Good.
Are you getting the whole tour?
Well, I think this part, and then 10 o'clock you open up over there. There's nothing else here.
Yep. Joe?
On the phone, I hear him talking in
Oh,
the
okay.
office, but he'll probably be able to talk with him because he can get you set up. He can probably give you a little tour,
Okay.
a perfect tour with video, and you can explain what you're doing. So he's like one of the best presenters about this station.
Okay.
He does excellent,
Nice.
absolutely excellent descriptions of
Great.
W1AW. Oh, anyway, speaking of which.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
I picked up one of those in there. Yeah.
Oh,
so
you did.
I did. So I
Okay,
just didn't.
okay.
I didn't look them up to see what their hours are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they don't exactly have hours.
So.
So that's actual camera. That's cool on a gimbal and everything.
Yeah, I was showing
cow.
him here. See, you can like switch it around, like, and you switch it to yourself real quick, and it starts tracking you and that kind of thing.
Okay, anyway.
By the way, what's your shirt size? Your T-shirt size?
Probably extra large, I think.
Extra large. I'm gonna leave at the front desk a couple of things for you for field day.
Oh, okay.
And I'll have your call sign on the envelope.
Oh, nice. I
So don't
appreciate-
forget to grab that from
Yeah.
the front desk. before
And
you
I'll
leave.
get the sign
Extra
back up
large,
there.
Extra large.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's a
Thanks,
price one
Bob.
on 80, 40,
That's
well, now
fantastic.
60.
Yeah, that's quite a station here.
Anyway,
Yeah, just about.
goodness sakes, yeah. Joe can explain everything
Yeah.
here. Well, I know about
No,
it
that's
too,
separate. So
but I think Joe would be even better to be on camera.
Well, I'm sure the. Isn't that nice? I know. Wow. Got all kinds of information on there. That's pretty neat screen.
So I want to run, say, 75 meters, they're going to have to use the internal tuners, but for CW and MTA, it works fine.
So anyway.
So the CW practice is all just set up automatic.
Yes,
Right?
yes. Here he's got everything all set up already.
Oh,
And as you can see, here in about 6 minutes or so, he'll
fired up.
change it on. The transmitter station's already all set. Everything's all set to go. It's all this right here.
Right. Well, I don't want to disturb you getting that going.
But I can show you Hiram Percy Maxim's spark gap transmitter.
Oh, that's just, yeah, that'd be,
This is the original one.
wow. Original
And,
spark gap.
Yeah.
What's that, 1915 or so? Or
Yes.
hey, I guess
exactly
that's
it.
pretty good.
That is exactly it.
Wow.
Here, there's a little description there in the frame.
Oh yeah, I'll take a picture of that. That's cool.
We have been. Let's see here. Yeah, there's enough light in here.
Oh yeah, this picks up pretty little light here, this camera, but that is neat. Original spark gap.
Okay. Yeah. And some of the great things over here is, are you familiar with the Wolfhong? Oh,
No, not really.
okay. This is a part of the folklore of amateur radio.
The wolf?
The Wolfhong. Yeah. That's the original one.
The original wolf home. Well, you're gonna have to tell me what that is, or I'll have to read it.
And there's the definition right there. The Wolfhong was is a symbol that was created by Hiram Percy Maxim, our founding the founding president of the ARRL, and he used to write in the early days of QST these editorials in QST that he would discuss all the bad practices of amateur radio operators, because the amateur radio operators on their radios, they would get on the air and they would clobber somebody else's frequency,
Especially with spark gap, it's like
and things like that.
huge bandwidth.
Exactly. So what Hiram did, he would write these editorials to encourage amateur radio operators to pay attention and pay common courtesy on the air, so that all the other amateur radio operators could exist peacefully.
Right.
Peacefully.
Coexist, yeah.
Exactly. And so he would use this symbol right here as a symbol of torture. He said, you know, if you're caught doing bad things on the air, the Wolfhong will come attack you.
Attack you.
Or something like that.
Poke an eye out with that thing.
Or whatever. Yeah, indeed. So that, and then this little editorial that showed up in
Yeah, let's take a closer picture of that.
has a nice description of what
That's interesting.
what that is all about. And then there's a couple of other associated symbols of symbols from that time period. One is called the Ugarumph, and this is the Riddy Snitch.
The hat with the key on the top.
Yes.
It's a hat, I guess, isn't it? Maybe not.
Well, here it is. The Ugarumph is a mysterious object that was made shortly after the Hiram Percy Maxim wrote his story, Rotten QRM, in 1917. Whether the device was symbolic of QRM in those days or was supposed to cure its evils is left to one's imagination, although strong hints were given by the old man. He used to he wrote these editorials under the pseudonym of the old man.
Oh, okay. Is that where they got the OM, huh? Is that where it started?
Oh yeah, the
And the
old
code?
man. Yeah, that's all radio amateurs are known as the
Right.
old man. Just OM. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he called himself the old man.
Oh, very cool.
But as it turned out, he was the author of these editorials. So,
Nice.
And then an original QST was right over there.
Well, that issue number 1?
Yeah, exactly. No, wait, that was July 1920 that you're looking at. The December 1915 was right over here on this corner.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the very first one.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Well, whatever you want to show me here, so.
Well, did you want to start with the antennas?
Sure, that'd be good,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard. It's kind of wet out there, but I can at least give a description of them. if
Okay,
that's
that'd be good, yeah. I've seen them out there, the big beams on this side. And
Yep. I actually have 4 towers here. There's 3 60-foot Roan SSV. Those are self-supporting towers. And my large tower, that's the bottom section of a Roan 65. We use that for all of the broadcast antennas.
Okay.
Now, when I say broadcast,
Yeah.
I mean that purely in a technical sense.
Right. Yeah.
We're
You can't-
broadcasting, but we're not broadcasting.
We're not allowed to broadcast. Yeah.
Because we're not allowed to broadcast, but we are a bulletin station.
And he was saying those were fixed antennas pointed like to the southwest or something, or
The 120-foot tower, the Rowan 65, those were all my bulletin antennas are located. So they are fixed in a westerly position
yeah.
to cover pretty much the entire United States.
Right.
Now on 15 to 20 meters, I am running stacked antennas, and they are configured and oriented to where, if you were to look at, say, the half power points and my coverage, I am covering up from, say, the Maritimes all the way down to the Caribbean,
Wow.
just based upon their pattern. That's being done on 20 and 15
Right.
meters. Everything else is just pointed towards the west, based upon our location, to where we just have maximum coverage towards the west.
Right.
Those are all monoband antennas. In fact, I really don't have any multi-band antennas here. Everything is monoband.
Oh.
And the nice thing about that is I have maximum efficiency. I don't
Sure.
have to worry about having to sacrifice
Right.
anything.
Less
for
tuners and
bandwidth and
stuff.
so
Yeah.
forth.
Mhm.
Now the bulk of the antennas on the 120-foot tower are fixed. There are two antennas up on top. Those are 40 and 20 meters. Those are used for visitor operations. The other towers, those are primarily visitor operating antennas, and those are all rotatable.
Rotatable. Yeah.
We currently have the Orion OR 2800s up there, and we're using the Green Heron RT21 rotator system, and we'll show you that in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Now, the main function of W1AW is the transmission of code, practice, and bulletins, and we're doing that with this equipment here. Now, right now, we are actually starting a Thursday morning code practice. This is called a fast code practice because we're going to start off at 35 words a minute
That's fast.
and go all the way down to 10.
Oh.
Now, we're using primarily ICOM equipment in here, and I have to say that none of this equipment is supplied by the manufacturers.
Oh, yeah.
This equipment here is purchased through Capital. And the only reason I'm using these radios is because for this particular operation, these 7300s work well. They're not too expensive.
I've got one in
they're
my
not
rig.
high end.
Yeah, they're good rig, yeah.
They're a wonderful radio.
They are. Yeah.
And it, quite frankly, if Kenwood were to come out with something very similar to this, you know, the last one was like the 590, or even Yaesu were to come with something similar like this. Now, Yaesu has wonderful radios, but there's additional band coverage and everything. I don't need that. So for this, the 7300 works well.
Yeah. It is. 80
Now-
through 10. That's all you need. Yeah.
Right. In this case, I need 6 meters as well.
Okay.
And we are currently covering 160, 80, 40, 20, 17, 15, 10, 6 meters, and 2 meters as well. So we're on 9 bands simultaneously.
Wow.
The rules require to be, for me, or W1AW I should say, to be at a minimum of 6 HF, and they put in their medium frequency bands simultaneously. I also have to provide a published schedule 30 days in advance. I must provide a minimum of 40 hours a week code practice and CW transmissions. These are actually all in the rules. So this, when you look at this, yes, these are one-way transmissions. But because we are providing information directed solely towards amateur radio operators, in the eyes of the FCC, it's not considered a broadcast because our official designation is a bulletin station.
Oh.
Granted, when you look up our license class, it says club,
Right.
because for the license, there is no other designation within the private radio branch for amateur radio other than individual, club, or races. Well,
Right.
we're not an individual, we're not a races, we are a club, and that's how the
Right.
FCC has us designated. But officially, we are, for this side, a bulletin station.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So again, right now we're starting off the preamble to our fast code practice. We run anywhere from 800 to 1,000 watts depending upon the band. Now, with the exception of 160 and 80 meters, all the other bands I am running high gain antennas, not the high gain manufacturer, but rather antennas which are monobanders with appreciable gain. So my 800 watts in many instances may give me 3,200 watts
Effective.
ARP.
Yeah.
The FCC does require a bulletin station to maximize its coverage. because again, if we're going to be taking this on to contact as many amateurs as possible, we need to take the necessary steps. So that's why using monoband high gain antennas with power allows us to be heard pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending upon time of year and
Right.
propagation.
Oh yeah. Your ionosphere. Yep. Oh, very good. Then it looks like you got some alpha.
I am running PW1s and ACOM 2000As. This one here I had to take out of service temporarily.
Oh.
I am using an Alpha 8410 on 160. The reason for that is on 160 we were just running CW and phone. So I just kind of have to tweak it and then it's good to go. Everything else is auto-tune.
Nice.
All the radios have all of the programming frequencies in there in the memories. So for example, this is our 17-meter exciter. This has our CW digital and phone for 17. This one has our CW digital and phone for 40 meters and so forth. Now the patch panel here, this allows us to make connections for my bulletin transmitters to their particular antennas, but also for any one of the operating positions, I can make a connection, excuse me, from any one of the visitor antennas over to any one of the radios in each one of the operating studios.
Nice. Very nice.
Now over here, we're using FL-Digi. FL-Digi is a multi-mode program, and we use this for our CW and all of our digital transmissions.
Okay.
And by digital, I mean the RGTY. We send it because it is a legacy mode.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
PSK 31 and MFSK 16. And the digital is on a revolving schedule. So on Monday, it's RIDI, PSK, MFSK 16. On Tuesday, it's PSK, then MFSK, then RIDI, and so forth. This allows us to get maximum coverage of all three modes throughout the course of the week.
Okay.
Now we're using FL-Digi because, quite frankly, this works very efficiently for us. We were using software that was written in-house. The problem with that is the program we were using would not operate in a Windows environment.
Oh.
And since all the computers here are on the network, they're all scanned by our IT department, we needed to have a program which can run in a Windows environment and on a computer that is scanned by our IT. FL-Digi does that for us.
All right.
The beauty of this is, if ever I had an issue or if I had to change anything, I can contact the author, Dave Fries, W1HKJ, and I can work with him to update this program.
Nice. Yeah, I played around with it a little bit.
It's a very good multi-mode program. So if you have, say, FL-Digi and WSJTX, you pretty much got the best of both
Yeah,
worlds.
yeah, it's fun.
So you can see the text we're sending here now. This is not right now 35 words a minute.
Oh, yeah. Faster than I can copy.
It's
I did about 20 when I passed the.
because the actually required 20 words.
Right, yeah, that's what I passed, and that was about my limit.
Now we have here this mixer board. This is actually a holdover from when we had Harris equipment in here.
Oh.
So we're now only using two channels, one for the digital, taken from the audio from the computer, and the other for the microphone. Because at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, we do have a phone bulletin.
Oh, okay.
Over here, we're just kind of monitoring our transmissions off air, our CW and digital. I actually built this screen here, and I'm using an RSP DX SDR. And so in this case, we're also using SDR console, so I can just pick each one of the frequencies I need and just to listen to it on the air and make sure it's okay.
Very nice. That's good.
And over here, this is the power control, as well as all the PTT and CW keying that controls all the racks. So we can control the power to them, we can turn them off if necessary, we can put them in transmit mode, we can take a band off the air if necessary, to say there was an issue with it. So this controls all the broadcast equipment
Okay,
here.
very nicely set up.
Thank you.
Took a while to get all this set up right.
It's been evolving as the week go by. Now I do have 3 studios here for visiting hams to come in and operate. Visiting operating times are from 10 a.m. to 3:45 p.m. Eastern, Monday
Okay.
through Friday.
Yeah.
And there's generally 2 HF operating positions in each one. Over here, I have a Kenwood TS990S and a Yaesu FT-DX101MP.
Okay.
The second studio, I have an ICOM IC9100 and an FT-DX5000. In the third studio, I have an FTDX 9000 and a Kenwood TS590S.
Very nice.
Now, any licensed amateur operator can come here and operate the station. They can operate on the bands and modes granted by their license class. So as we say, it's from a novice to an expert can come in and operate.
Nice.
The only difference being is that they can only use W1AW. And that rule even applies to staff. As manager and trustee, I am not allowed to use my personal call sign here. It's just W1AW, correct. We use N1MM logger for all logging.
Right.
And every Monday, the logs from the previous week are uploaded to Logbook of the World. But we still also respond to regular QSL card requests, and we still get a lot of those.
Right.
Now over here, I have some equipment that's not necessarily used by visitors, but it's more other functions. For example, we're right now with this system here, we are monitoring the various weather balloons that are launched. These are operating at approximately 400 megahertz, and we're actually tracking a few that have been launched.
I see. Tracking the balloons there, yeah. Seen a few of those launched down at Quartzsite and stuff.
This is it's quite fascinating to see it.
Yeah, that is how they drift.
Last week, one landed about a mile from us. We
Oh,
had
really?
an opportunity to catch it.
Wow.
We have Echolink. We do run an Echolink conference server
Yeah.
that amateur operators can connect to it, and they can monitor our transmissions in real time. We also are a WinLink station. We have HF and VHF WinLink, and you can see some of the control that we're doing here. We have a system running locally on 2 meters, and that allows individuals within the area to connect to it for WinLink traffic. And we have D-Star on 23 centimeters. We monitor the 2-meter local repeater. I have an additional radio here, so if I have a lot of operators, I can get 7 operators on simultaneously.
Wow.
And we also have an ARRL node. We are node 4292 that is functional from here as well.
Cool.
Now on display, we have here the Geochron. This was donated to us a little under 2 years ago. We do have the ham package, so that allows us to monitor solar data,
Conditions,
as
yeah.
we see their conditions. We also have the ISS view, which is what you may be hearing a little bit of now. And we also have the earthquake and volcano layer. And that's what these circles are that you see
There's a
here.
lot of information on that screen.
There's a lot of information, and you can populate this to the point where you really can't
Can't
see
even read it. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's neat though. Yeah, I've heard of those geochrons, and they have some cheaper versions that you make yourself with pies and stuff like that.
It's called ham clock.
Ham
and
clock,
I actually
yeah.
have that over here if we want to look at it. Actually, no, I don't. I have the G predict. So
Oh, well, okay.
we'll scratch that. Reverse.
Yeah, okay.
Now, the station here, this radio station, was completed in 1938.
Oh,
It replaces the original station that was located about 5 miles to the north of us.
so that was Hiram's.
That was the station used by Hiram Percy Maxim, and
Okay.
it was actually operating as W1MK, or 1MK before, then W1MK. When we had what they call the Great Flood of '36, that flood essentially started at the beginning of the Connecticut River in Canada, worked its way down, destroying everything in its path, including the original radio station. The organization decided to, rather than rebuild that station because of how close we were to the Connecticut River, which was a good move because we had the 38 hurricane that pretty much did the same thing, they purchased this property here. It's about 7¼ acres, and they began construction of this radio station.
Oh, okay.
The flood occurred in March of 1936. Hiram Percy Maxim, right there, our founder and first president, passed away in February of 1936, so he never saw the devastation.
Oh,
On September 2nd, 1938, the station was inaugurated, and we were officially operating as W1AW at that time.
okay, cool. Can you give me a little bit of background on these spark gap transmitters?
Sure,
I know
right
what
over
they
here.
are and how they kind of work, but if you had a little bit of that's his original spark gap,
Correct.
right?
This is old Betsy. This is Hiram Percy Maxim's rotary spark gap transmitter. She does function when she's in a good mood.
Okay.
I have to say it that way because sometimes she does, sometimes
You
she
get a
doesn't.
little ozone smell when you
We
run
look
it?
at the ozone when it's sparking, correct. Now, this is just a portion of the original station. Some of the pieces have been lost to history. Some are down, we believe, with the family in Maryland.
Oh, I see.
But in a nutshell, what we do is we control it from Hiram's desk.
Okay, so you
And
can operate it
We
right
can
now.
operate this, correct. We activate the power. We're using low voltage for safety. Now, obviously, they did not have triac keyers in Hiram's time. So, but I have built here a triac keyer, which allows me to take the low voltage and then put 120 volts AC onto the high voltage transformer.
Okay. So
When she's working, she will generate 12,000 volts AC. That voltage is passed through the condenser or capacitor and 1/2 the oscillation transformer.
yeah, it's a straight
It's then
instrument.
placed on these 2 points here.
Okay, so
This 4-point armature is spinning at about 700 RPM, and it comes very
there's the
close.
gap, okay.
There's the gap, correct. So it doesn't touch it. It's essentially, it's a glorified spark plug.
right.
When we get the 12,000 volts, the air breaks down and arc is generated. That energy is fed back through the oscillation transformer, and we're using this LED light to act as a load.
I see.
So when we get a nice strong arc, in addition to the noise and the sound and just the visual effect, the light will also light in unison with the arc. And of course, we do have that ozone smell.
Is it kind of noisy? Like
It's
Snap,
quite
snap,
noisy.
snap.
It is, and it actually is quite loud. And when she is working, when she will give me an arc, I always have to warn my visitors, okay, don't be too alarmed, but you're going to hear a snap.
Oh yeah,
Because that's how loud
high
it
voltage.
is.
Yeah.
We do have a cover, but obviously it's not the same with the cover on. You don't get the thrill of it when you hear that arc
Right,
and,
right.
and the sound and the
So
smell.
what is the bandwidth of an arc transfer? It's got to be like huge.
The joke is yes. It
Covers it all.
It covers it all. DC to daylight. Because it is, it's very broad banded.
Yeah.
Now, back in Hiram's time, I mean, this is something that he had built. There were a couple of commercial versions, but a lot of this was built by the operators. So they would set frequency by the value of the capacitor, or condenser, as they called it
Okay.
back then, and the coiling, as well as the antenna. So you were able to narrow down your operating frequency.
Okay.
But still, if you had, say, taken a modern day analyzer back then to analyze a signal, you would see multiple harmonics up and down the spectrum,
everywhere. Yeah.
with the majority of the power concentrated at a specific site or frequency. And since this was pretty much at 1 megahertz or below, that was fine. Now, with operating with Spark, if you had operators close to each other, you had to schedule your time. So in other words, Hiram couldn't be on the air and have another operator, say a mile down the road, also be on the air. You could now, but back then you couldn't, because even with this specific frequency narrowing, you were still interfering. So they kind of had to, when they were close, they kind of had to schedule their times.
I see.
When we had, I'm simplifying this, but when we had DeForest creating the audio on, which we were now generating audio over the air, it was much more cleaner, it was much more band efficient. The FCC had outlawed the use of Spark. We can still use this for demonstration purposes. Every once in a while you may see someone who has developed an electronic arc transmitter,
Yeah.
and for special events they can put it on the air, but they were also required to ensure that their signal is extremely narrow and conforms to the regulations regarding bandwidth. So you really wouldn't see spark gap transmitters on the air, even in times of, say, classic.
You're saying you're
AW.
using this LED light for a load, so this thing doesn't produce hardly any kind of output power.
No, although that LED
Milliwatts
will
or
light.
something.
Yes, but because of the proximity of this transmitter to my radios and the fact that these are very sensitive radios and
Yeah.
I'm using high gain antennas, I mean, not the manufacturer, but rather just the gain, the electronic gain, when we are demonstrating and we have a really strong arc and I have visitors on the air, they can hear it in the radio.
Oh yeah.
So they hear that.
Right.
So it's kind of cool, the science associated.
Now back then, what did they use for detection? I mean, they just got a
It could have
small.
been everything from a Galena. I don't have any here, but we have an audio detector box
Okay,
here.
that's the audio on.
They could use something similar to that. They could have used coherers. the cat whiskers,
Oh,
the
right,
lemur.
right. Uh-huh.
Obviously, individuals who had a little bit more money and were able to purchase stuff like this can have these specific types of receivers, but it depended upon the individual and just how dedicated they were to the craft.
And as far as range, you're only talking like, what, 20, 30 miles or something? Or
Well, yes
like
and no.
that.
It depended upon the frequency. I mean, when you
Right.
consider that in 1921 we had the transatlantic test where we were going across to
Right.
Europe, and at that time it was spark transmissions. It was not audio CW. And even then, the term CW, continuous wave, there was no such thing as CW back then. It was Morse code. So you could travel thousands of miles, but you had to make sure the conditions were just right. You were operating on very low frequencies, and
ground wave type
it
stuff.
was ground wave. But even then, they didn't quite understand skywave, because at that time it would have been skywave. I mean, these transmissions had to occur at night, and I don't believe they fully understood, well, why at 1 megahertz can we get across to Europe at night, but we can't do it during the day? So it's the same frequency, the same everything. Well,
Right.
it's because there's skywave.
Got some reflection,
propagation.
yeah. Mhm.
Correct, yes.
Very good. Okay, well, that's quite interesting. Well, I appreciate you showing me around.
Oh, sure. We love the station.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can see why. Yeah, this has got to be a fun job.
It is, because we actually do a lot of experimentation in here. I mean, well, for this thing, I had built this to receive the weather satellites, the GOES satellites,
okay.
at 1694 megahertz. And now this one, because I'm actually using a slinky, a metal slinky.
Oh yeah, I got this in there. Yeah.
And I had to calculate this. Thankfully, there are online calculators that if you put in all the parameters, it gives you all the dimensions. So this antenna is actually closer to 1640 megahertz, but the calculated bandwidth gets me around 1694. So I could use this for GOES weather satellite.
Okay.
And it's a slinky, and I'm using a section of the vinyl fascia.
Oh yeah, I use it for projects too.
And on the ground plane, obviously the feed point here is critical. So I actually had to determine the distance in millimeters and separate it with pieces of tape to say, okay, that's my 2 millimeters.
Wow.
And then clamp it down with non-conductive materials, and it's being fed into an SMA. From there, I'll go into a sawtooth filter and then into an SDR that will cover up to 1600 or 1700 megahertz, and then put this into a program that will allow me to receive GOES satellite images. And I'll be doing this probably on a Raspberry Pi.
Oh, okay. I play with a couple pies, yeah. Oh, I got the little.
The two systems we have in here, if you want to see them again. This system here we're using for monitoring the weather balloons.
Yeah.
This is actually running on a Raspberry Pi
Okay.
4, which is located outside in a box in my stockade area. We've got the Raspberry Pi 400 here. That's what you're actually seeing the screen. That's the 400 screen here. And we use that for demonstration purposes to show how Pis and even Arduinos and all the other types of controllers are easily integrated into amateur radio use.
Yeah, I just to be able to build a little hotspot with mine, that kind of thing.
I'm running a small Zoom spot.
Okay, yeah.
That gets me into Reflector 69 Charlie on D-Star. So yeah, it's a little small thing.
Oh yeah, they work great, yeah.
Exactly. And what's nice about this is telling us it's actually, the age there is 1 second. We have a weather balloon that's right now descending. As we can see its altitude, this is saying 34,000, now 50 feet.
So it sends quite a bit of data back, doesn't it?
It really does, yes, because these are weather balloons that are launched by National Weather Services. And as you can tell,
Okay, see, I thought these were the amateur ones. Yeah,
no, these
okay.
are not amateur. This is not amateur related at all, except that this program that we're using, it's called Radiosonde Auto, and obviously it's free because we're running it on a Pi, does upload this data to APRS. And let me just open up this window here. It's a little sluggish. Ah, there we go. You can just see the
Oh, yeah.
So as you can tell, the data that I'm receiving is saying it's uploaded to APRS-SI, and it has our call sign, and there's all the information.
That's good.
Now, SondHub, the uploader, is looking at this data as well. And there are many amateur radio operators that are monitoring this weather balloons and uploading this to the APRS network. So while this is not amateur radio specific, there is an amateur radio component to it.
Okay, cool. Well, very good.
And all running on a Pi. There is actually 2 RTL SDR dongles sitting in a box with the Pi running into it. And for this particular system, I'm using very simple dipoles cut for 400 megahertz.
Okay, well, I sure appreciate the tour. And what was your name again?
My name is Joe Karsha,
Joe Karsha, and your call?
NJ1Q.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, Joe.
Thank you very much.
And I'll get this uploaded in a couple days or something like that. So,
Okay.
could I get you on camera for a little bit?
If you want, sure.
Okay, this is,
Greg Mathey,
and he's with
KA2MKM. I'm a volunteer here at the ARRL in Newington, Connecticut. I'll tell you that my wife originally was living in Newington, and I won't say that it was the only thing attracting me to her, but it played a bit of a part.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So now we're gonna operate this station here. He got me set up on the Yaesu FT101 MP. I never have operated. I've never even had a Yaesu before. I've always had Kenwoods or Heathkits or something like that.
We got Kenwoods too.
Yeah.
The Yaesu is.
I see you got a bunch of 73s in there all lined up for all your
That's for bulletins.
bulletins. Yeah. So, okay, we'll see what we can do here. I'll give it a listen. And I'll flip this screen around, and I think that will put us both on here. Can I put it up on here? Yeah, so I can put it there and there. Let's see what we can do. Put it here and here.
All right.
Newfoundland, you said, huh?
Newfoundland.
You have a
yes.
scrap paper or anything, or
Let me see if I can get you something.
forgot to bring in a little book or something? Okay. Well, the radio's here for operating when you come and visit. The maps, the azimuth, and this is the antenna. So you can change the direction by just pulling this green arrow around, I guess. Oh, with the mouse, I suppose. Okay. So that's the way that works.
All right. You have to. Here's a piece of paper.
All right.
When you have a contact, log it there.
Okay, right there.
All right. If you move in, your memory of me is a little bit skinnier than I am.
Okay. See what's coming up here. This isn't a contest or something, it's just somebody.
It may be a contest somewhere, but we're not participating as a contest. I know volunteers on the air was big for a while in parks.
Oh yeah, parks. I've done the park photo, things. Yeah, I've done some of those. It's kind of fun.
Once you exchange signature, we will come back and give you, and now so we're done there. And
The signal's coming up a little bit anyway, so.
W1AW, you're going to find that we have a lot of people lined up and roll one concord in there, and that's what you will put up here at the concord. It's crucial, and it won't work unless you get the computer, you're talking to your transceiver. All these settings are crucial things
Roger, my name is Mike, and I'm in Connecticut. What's the town here?
Newington.
Newington, Connecticut, and we're operating the station here. That's the original Percy Maxwell station here. So anyway, you got a pretty good signal coming in here on 20 today. Yeah, Whiskey X2 Alpha Mike. This is Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey, and I thank you for the contact, and hope you got some pretty good contacts coming up in the future there. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Oh, I got to get done with this guy. He's got a big pileup going on. Well, somebody on the Saxon Privacy called me back here, and the guy's still calling me. Right over the top of that guy.
He might not have heard him.
Yeah,
Might be
that's
in a
true.
different
That's
location.
true, but I didn't want to, send it and make a mess there with that.
Yeah.
He probably just heard the 1A1W, and he's like, "Oh, I got to make a contact with them people." That was a good contact, though.
Where, did you enter it?
Oh yeah. We did the whole thing. Yeah, we put it up in here.
LX2AM.
Yeah.
It doesn't like that one.
Well, that's what he kept saying.
LX. Let's see, LX. Let's look it up.
Yeah. Well, here's some Connecticut traffic for you on 84 heading west. It's moving. Hey, there's Leah over there. No, that's
Hi.
not Leah.
That's not Leah.
Where are you at?
I don't know, I'm not here.
Oh, there you are. Okay,
Yeah,
there's
right.
Leah.
I'm eating a
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat.